All right, welcome back to another episode of the Smile Continuity Podcast. My name's Jovan, and this week we have a special guest, my wife, Jill. Jill, do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself, your background?
Sure. So I am a therapist. I work right now as an outpatient therapist, seeing people in my office and over Zoom. I have been in the mental health field for about 7 years now, 7, 8 years, something like that. And I naturally, just being in the mental health field, I'm a huge advocate for people getting their own mental health support and really being in the best possible health for themselves.
This week we're talking about self-care, and I wanted to ask you a few questions, especially with you being in the mental health field, how you typically manage self-care overall, being such a stressful field.
I mean, you're absolutely right. The mental health field is absolutely stressful, whether you're a therapist, whether you're another support person, a social worker, whatever it might be. It is a very stressful field. Because naturally, you're dealing with other people's problems and trauma and whatnot, and it's really important to then take care of yourself. If I don't take care of myself, then I'm not going to be in a good state to be able to take care of my clients and really give them helpful advice and suggestions, and being able to listen to the things that they have going on in their life. So this is something that I definitely do really believe in, and I really try to practice for myself. Usually, like I always tell people, self-care can be a lot of different things. For myself, usually like going camping a couple times a year is my self-care.
Yeah.
Jovan definitely knows that when I'm stressed out, when I'm going through a hard time, I want to be by the water. Just put me on the water. It can be like camping by the water. It can be in a canoe, in a kayak, whatever it might be, overlooking my parents' lake. Just get me by water.
You by the water, me in the woods.
Yes, absolutely. So being, camping and being by the water is a huge part of self-care for me. Now, unfortunately, right now we're in Minnesota, and in the winter, it's not quite the same. So in the winter, I do other things. Baking is a huge piece of self-care for me. I actually just got done baking here not too long ago. I might do some yoga. I am trying to get back into exercising, eating healthy, but it can also be other things such as reading, such as taking time for yourself. For me, reading is a huge thing that I do for me, either that or taking baths. That's a great stress reliever after a long, hard day.
Yeah, you've really been into the bath bombs as of recent.
Absolutely. It's something, just being able to, lay down in a bath, turn down the lights, put on a candle, maybe a glass of wine in my hand, just a great way for me to relax.
I like a lot of those ideas. I know what got us caught up yesterday. I had my hair appointment to get my retwist. I love a good hairdo styling.
I had my hair appointment today.
So we ended up taking time for ourselves before putting the show first, just because it's a little bit easier to manage when you're relaxed and you feel comfortable, and you just like how you feel. I know one thing I like to do, which is I haven't done in a while, but that's just because, again, it's cold out, is I like to walk around the city. There are days I just put my music on and go for walks. It's something I've kind of always done, whether it be short walks, long walks. I love kind of just getting out, playing with the dogs. That's one big way we end up. I consider it self-care, because having a good time with them is just a good time overall. So, what are some of the tasking things that come to your mind in your field that really makes you want to make sure you're taking care of yourself, like kind of compounding things?
Part of that depends on the type of role that people have in the mental health field. For myself, as a mental health therapist, I see anywhere from 20 to 30 to sometimes, when I've needed extra cash, I've seen up to 40 clients a week. And seeing that many clients and having that much direct client contact each week is absolutely something that can be very taxing for people. For other people, it's more the paperwork part that can be really taxing, having to sit down and, complete all the assessments, the notes, all of that. For others, it might be, making phone calls or, there's so many different things. I know the other thing is just naturally, helping people with their problems, especially when doing trauma work, when helping people, resolve different aspects of their trauma or work through it or talk about it. That can be a very taxing thing.
Yeah. Kind of end up taking it on for yourself a bit there.
Absolutely. And it's sometimes those days where, while that's a huge passion of mine to be able to help people work through that, I also know that I have to take care of myself in those days because I don't want to bring that stuff home. I don't want that impacting our relationship.
And to some degree, it'll kind of always happen, but you manage as best as you can. And we kind of have to just make sure communication stays open in those regards. One thing I wanted to ask was, and you here earlier this year, you had a job transition, and it seemed as if stress was kind of very overwhelming in that state. How do you manage in a certain time as far as someone else being in the field as well?
As for like, how can other people handle it during those times? I think one of the biggest things is just, so as for what others can do when they're going through a hard time, the biggest thing that I always tell people is take time for yourself. And, now this can be easier for some rather than others. Some people don't have the luxury, not what I was referring to.
What?
I know with the parents out there, or people who have more like family responsibilities, it's not always as easy to take time for yourself, but to try to do so. Utilize your support system. See if you can get a night off from your kids or from your family. Being vocal with your partner if you need just some downtime for yourself or if you need time with them. And then from there, I also usually tell people, just do what's going to make you feel happy. Something that's not going to stress you out. I know for myself, if I have too many things going on in a day or too many obligations, sometimes that can just increase my stress. So, I usually tell people, take time for yourself, break things into smaller pieces, or just give yourself less to do.
Acknowledge it's not selfish.
Absolutely. I always tell people, self-care is not selfish. You have to take care of you if you're going to help anybody else.
Right. And I was just going to mention a few things that I like to do. Well, some things that I've gotten you involved in at times. Well, one, this podcast is actually self-care for me. It gives me a chance to really talk about how I view things. Sometimes it's different from others, sometimes it's the same, but it gives me a chance to have my voice be heard. So dragging you into this, also funny to me, just because I know you're not a fan of just kind of being put on the spot, but I also needed a guest for this week.
You're welcome, babe.
Cracking jokes and just singing around the house is kind of just one of my favorite go-to things to do. It's usually picking on her.
Almost always.
Again, and for the spouses, the ones who love the harassment, the ones that love doing the harassment, I see you.
For the people that don't, I see you. The ones that are on the receiving end.
Mine's fun, okay?
Yeah, except for when I'm super stressed and you're still trying to pick on me.
It's mainly because I want you to laugh. But I also know that I should pull back at times as well. But it's in communicating that it's figuring out the balance of when do we have just light, playful times, and then when do we have to be more serious? I know that can be difficult and kind of just figuring out, especially over time. One thing that you used to do in the past might not always be okay for the future. So it's continuing to have that open line of communication going on. One thing I'm looking forward to this year, as far as self-care goes, we have some trips that we have been thinking about. I don't know if the cruise is going to happen anymore. The way things are going, I'm a little skeptical of that one, especially after last year.
Yeah, we actually have like 2 cruises that we were hoping to do. Not quite sure with where the COVID's going.
Still iffy there. But we just plan to do some other travel. We finally decided to visit the West Coast and see what that's looking like over there. Wanted to kind of do the touristy things, check out LA, Hollywood, and all that. So I'm excited for that. Summertime, I think I think we were thinking of for that. But that's just one of those things. Yeah, it's far out, but there are little goals that kind of get built into it that make the entire journey of it a fun thing, to kind of just keep going. One weekend where we're buying plane tickets, the next where, well, we already have the hotel that we might be looking at doing, or, things along those lines, places that we might want to go and check out, building the itinerary. I don't know for you, but I love scheduling things out. Like,
Oh, I'm a huge
but
scheduler.
I also love kind of just freelance work of it too. Like,
for me, like so we had a vacation plan this last summer, and one of the really cool things leading up to it was because we had certain things planned out. Even though later on it didn't quite work out, it was still like the idea of me being able to just like let loose and not plan everything was super helpful for me. And that was definitely a huge thing for self-care. Not only like planning everything, leading up to it, but then also, just knowing, hey, this is a vacation. I get to just relax. I don't have to worry about work. I don't have to worry about clients. Like, this is just like me time and us time.
Yeah. And we made a good trip out of it.
Yeah,
Had
we did.
a chance to in Orlando Universal.
Yeah, we went to Universal Studios. I got to go to Harry Potter World. I was super thrilled.
She loves Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
Up and down. Loves Harry Potter. Not gonna talk about how I almost died when we got back to the hotel, but
that is not self-care for those out there.
Sometimes I don't listen.
Don't push yourself, because that is not self-care. That is the opposite of self-care.
I may or may not push myself at times.
We all do.
But yes, we all do. So with that, I just wanted to bring you in. We usually do short episodes, just have a chance to really talk quick about whatever the topic is for the week. So thanks for coming in, talking about self-care. You want to again let them know who you are and where they might see you around? Hear your name rather.
I'm Jill McCray. I'm not sure exactly where you may or may not see me around, as I'm possibly going through another job change right now. So. Oh yeah. But I live in the Minnesota area right now. You can find me on Psychology Today, probably.
Yeah. And again, I'm Jovan. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Smile Continuity Podcast. We'll see you next time.